In this tutorial, we're going to start to use Adobe InDesign. This is an optional program. You may do your poster design in Illustrator or Photoshop, but it is good to practice the different software to see what they're capable of doing. So when you open InDesign, you'll have your usual desktop options. We're going to go into a new file, print, and we're going to make our preset A3 size and give it a name, task 03 poster design. Check that you're working in millimeters and you've only got one page. All of the other items should be fairly standard. You can change the bleed to 5mm, so hit tab on your keyboard, and if you change one, it should change all the others. So we will talk about what bleed and slug are in our lectures. So when you're happy with all of that, go create. Now, one of the things that you will need to check is that you've got all of the palettes available that you need. So go into Window in the top menu, go into Workspace, and you can either hit Essentials, Classic. I like Essentials, so that's the one that I'm going to choose. Now, over on the left, you have your tools, which you're all probably quite familiar with. I like to have a double column of tools, and you'll notice that some of these are quite familiar to you. So we've reset our workspace. Other things to take note of is that under Window, you've got all of your different palettes, just like you do in Illustrator and Photoshop. Under View, there's a couple of things that you might like to make sure are selected. So under Rulers, make sure that you can see rulers. So Window, Show Rulers. And some of the other preferences that I like to have selected is under Grids and Guides. Just have a look at the options. Make sure that you can lock guides if you wish. So have a little tick next to that. You want to snap to the guides as well, and you want to have smart guides enabled. At any point in time, if you don't like your guides, you can choose delete all guides on the spread. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is find one of the templates that I have placed on views. All students must be using one of these templates. So I'm going to go into File in the top menu, Place, and then find the template that I like. For this demonstration, I'm just going to use this one here. And place your cursor in the top left-hand corner and click Accept with your mouse. Now you'll notice that this template is a little bit smaller than the canvas I created. So what you want to do is pick up the corner and stretch out the bounding box, which is a blue color. So I'm just stretching that out. You can hold Shift if you like, and that will constrain the proportions, or you can just stretch it to the outer rim of the bleed. Now, you'll notice that my object hasn't actually changed size. So what I'm telling Illustrator is that I need my object to cover this bounding box. To do that, we're going to right click on the image that I've just brought in, and then go down to where it says Fitting. What you'll need to do, you can either fill frame proportionally or fill the content proportionally. You can also go down here, fit the frame to the content, or fit the content to the frame. This is the best one for me, so I'm going to choose that. And you'll notice that some of the images are a little skewed, but that's okay, it doesn't really matter. Or I can then redo that. I'll just go Control Z or Command Z to undo. and once again right click, fitting, fit frame proportionally. And you'll notice that when I do proportional fitting, that it has actually cut off some of my text at the top and it has cut off some of my images. So I need to adjust that again. So right click on your image, fitting, and fit content proportionally. There we are. That's actually quite a nice fitting, so I'm going to accept that. So to accept any of your changes, just click away from the bounding box and it should be deselected. What you also want to do is make sure that you adjust the visibility of this template. Excuse me. So I'm going to select the object. Over in my properties palette, so if I drag out the properties, you'll notice that there's an option for opacity. So you can either click on the opacity drop-down menu, or you can change it with the little slider option. So I'm just going to adjust that to about 40%, and then I can redock my properties palette just like I would in Illustrator or in Photoshop. Now that I've got a reduced opacity, I'm going to double click this layer and call this template. And I want to lock this layer, so next to the eyeball I've got a little lock option, and then I will build my other layers over the top. So on layer 2, I might place my hero shot, and we'll talk more about these in the lectures. On layer 3, I might have my line work. Layer 4, I might have clipping masks. Layer 5, leaders, and actually I'll place my text on another layer. Typography or text layer. And this is really important that you manage each of the layers that you're working with. We're going to be asking you to once again show us how you've been working, so we will like to see your file management. The other thing that I want to do to this canvas is I want to make sure that my grid is showing. So over once again on the properties layer, you want to make sure that you've got, I'll just bring this one out and minimize some of these other ones. So on my properties layer, you'll notice that you've got rulers and grids, and you just want to make sure that you've got the third one selected so that there's a grid system that you're going to be following. So we want to make sure that all our text is aligned adequately, that we've got even spacing between our different text elements, and that everything is nice and straight and even. So that's just setting up your canvas in preparation for your Assessment Task 3 poster.